Thursday afternoon Cloud Talk live from reInvent in Vegas. All right, folks, I am here in what we call our executive hospitality suite, but I am not alone. I'm joined by my good friend Larry.
Hey,
Larry, this is the first time you've been on the show.
Yes, I am excited to be on the show.
You should be excited. So here we are. We're a little over 24 hours into this thing. We've been here longer than 24 hours, but the show really kicked off last night. And what about this? You've been to these before. Are we back? Is reInvent back?
I think reInvent is definitely back. I mean, last year it was down a little bit,
yeah,
and this year it is back full force. 50,000 people. You have to wait a long time to get an Uber. The hallways are jammed like a New York City street.
Nothing's happening fast.
The exhibit halls are alive. We opened the exhibit hall as one of the many booth exhibitors.
We like to say the premier booth.
Yes, and we immediately were flooded with people. I mean, hundreds of people just flooding past every booth. I mean, it's amazing, the crowd and the energy.
The crowd and the energy, because there really have been some interesting announcements this week, even with just two keynotes in. So there was the keynote last night with DeSantis, and then we had Adam Slifsky's this morning. So let's talk about those a little bit. So I took some notes. I stayed up. I watched the show, and the thing that was interesting about that was they called it the Monday Night Live, is that it was, he's all focused on all things infrastructure. And so oddly enough, or not so oddly enough, a lot of his updates were focused on that and how to make things better, faster, cheaper. And in a sense, a lot of the presentation was bound around three primary things. They're like, you want to get more performance, you want to drive costs down, be cost conscious, but you also want to be hyper secure. And normally those are forces that pull against one another. You can have it cheaper, but will it be as secure? It kind of becomes the question. And so as he went through his presentation, which I really enjoyed, we kept coming back to that, going, here's this new feature, but here's how we have not given up on security. Here's we're still focused on cost cutting and making sure that these things are economical to use.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much of that answering the question, what if we could solve that equation where three things aren't all possible at the same time, and then they unveil the solution.
That's right, which is a good way to do it. And so there's some interesting announcements that they talked about last night. Nitro is in its, it's been updated a couple of more versions. They talked about the Nitro V5, which has twice the amount of transistors, because of course we know Amazon makes their own silicon now. They've been doing that for a few years. Twice the computational power, twice the bandwidth, 60% per second at lower latency, all the things that really drive towards it. And if you look at in the aggregate of the capabilities that are happening in networking, in compute, they announced some new EC2 instances. They're dealing with, and this is where I start to get excited, they're dealing with these larger use cases. Oh, so we need 500,000 variables for our machine learning model. Now you can do that either in a single machine or a single instance, or with some really interesting network stuff. Granted, he lost me a little bit. It was late last night. In how because what I didn't really understand about training some of these models is when you throw 3 and 4 and 5 and 20 and 100 instances at running those models, those machines end up sleeping a lot because the latency that happens at the network bandwidth, sharing the information between the different machines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the scale that we're talking about, and as you mentioned, the speed that we're talking about, and the fact that they're pushing, all these hardware developments is really impressive.
Yeah. So let's talk about Adam's stuff today a little bit. So it was a grand presentation. He started with we saw images from space. We were in the Marianas Trench. There was some really amazing opportunity that he was casting. And this goes to what we saw last night, and that was we're solving big, hard problems. Not just we can migrate you to a new platform. This was we don't hear those messages.
Yeah, he loves to talk about, and he did a great job again today of talking about themes from history, about two explorers were headed to the same place and they had competing ways of doing it.
Right.
And again, the whole what if question comes up of we've got these different solutions that everyone has been using. but they'd like to take it to the next level. Well, today they did take it to the next level in several places.
Yeah, one place where I saw that was in the ClickSense capability. So, we know ClickSense and the ability to go in and create a dashboard. Well, now they're creating machine learning and AI into there to not just tell you where are we, where's the company looking at their dashboard, what are the results to the microsecond, but where are they gonna be? I love that fact that you can now predict where this is gonna be.
And lots of talk about data as being the most important thing, and then simplifying the idea that you don't have to be a data scientist to use ML and AI, that you're going to get to the point of being able to ask an open question to some kind of application that talks to the AI and the ML, and that is going to give you your answer. And one of the what ifs today was, in the past, we've already been able to do that. You've already been able to type a question. But what was new today is now they're introducing the capability to have that open question be in the future.
Right.
So what are my sales going to look like next quarter? Those types of things. And if you multiply that out across all the different research use cases, it's really exciting.
Well, and the very open-ended question, and my favorite one he used was just a simple word, and that was why. So you could look at the trending, and sales are down in Q4 in the Southwest region. Why? Here's all the reasons why. Now what's going to happen next month? Why? I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you could get Cloud Talk Live viewership statistics into an AI ML model and ask, what's my viewership going to be next month or the next 2 months?
That's right. Hopefully more. Tell your friends and family about it. Because who doesn't want to watch this over Christmas?
That's right.
So what else caught your attention, either in today or observing in the things that we've heard, just being even in the hallways in the event center? What are you learning?
Well, I think, the data thing is just really big, and there's just a huge amount of excitement. I mean, if you walk through the exhibit hall and just see not just us as one of the premier partners, but just all of the companies that are working with AWS in some way, it is clearly right now the most popular hyperscaler with the biggest breadth and depth. And of course, we work with them all, but I mean, in terms of market share and just number of capabilities, I think they continue to lead the way.
That's right. They really do. And again, it goes back to what gets exciting about this is it's not just lift and shift. It's not just, hey, you got some more databases, and there are more databases, by the way. And but it's all about solving these real world business problems, and some really complex ones. I thought their customer examples were interesting. Last night they had Ferrari on. Today they had, or was that this morning? I lose track who was when. The company that did the cancer research. I thought that was a really interesting story, because they had challenges, not just around the hard work that they're doing to help individuals, do better with struggling through cancer, but with their product, there was a whole supply chain challenge that existed as well, because they're actually taking, cells from an individual who's sick and transporting them across state lines to have things happen to them, to have it tested upon tested upon tested, to then come back and then be reintroduced. I mean, these are really challenging things.
Yeah, so many great examples, including, I think it was a bank in Ukraine in the first part, and all these companies are able to push the envelope with what they're trying to do from a technology standpoint because of AWS and, in certain cases, partners like us.
Right. And, here in this fancy little executive suite where we've got to meet with customers and do things like this, we were just visiting with one of our customers, and there's a whole case study coming out on them. We'll see it later. But at the heart of that story was this CIO came in and saw an antiquated server architecture and went on a multi-year journey to transform that, and the benefits that it comes. And it goes down to things like, they could only deploy, every couple of weeks, and now they're doing 8 a day, some ridiculous number.
Yeah, it was a huge transformation, and I can't wait to edit that together and get that out there, because it really is what we talk about so much of advise, transform, manage, and optimize as being our process. And in this case, really advising them on what the best path forward was going to be to get out of a monolithic application into cloud native applications that are running Lambda functions that are enabling them to move a lot faster and even launch an entirely new product.
Yeah.
And so for many organizations, our CTO, Srini Kaushik, likes to talk about it's not just getting to the cloud, it's thriving in the cloud.
Right.
And once you get there, you really need to make the most of it. And that's what we help customers do. The other part of that interview that we had just now was talking about how we actually help teach them to fish.
Yeah.
We actually teach them how to do this on their own, which in some ways people would look at that and say, well, you're putting yourself out of business. But he said, we're giving you more business because you have that attitude toward us.
Well, and what it comes down to also is it's not just how can I do the job, but if I can teach you to do the things that are those introductory things of moving and transforming into, in their case, an event-driven architecture. Well, once you're there, I mean, you're dipping your toe in the swimming pool. Hey, looks like we have Don Campbell is here at reInvent as well. Don, thanks for watching. Yes, there's a huge amount of things to learn while we're here. And I'm so glad they're streaming so much of it and recording so much of it, because there's no way to consume it all while you're here. So Larry, we've got data keynote tomorrow. We still have Dr. Vogel's coming up on Thursday. There's a ton of information. We're gonna have to come back and talk about that, I think.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait for Werner's keynote. You know, it's always a big question: what T-shirt is he going to wear?
That's right.
And so, you know, that's just part of the tradition here at reInvent. But I'm sure he's going to have all kinds of interesting stuff, because so often Amazon.com, and he's the CTO of Amazon.com. They lead the way in testing or being the early adopter of
Right.
of a lot of these new solutions that then become marketed solutions for AWS.
Isn't that amazing? The test bed for new services is on the world's largest retailer. Who knew? All right, folks, we are going to wrap this thing up. Larry, thanks so much for being on the show.
Sure.
You get to be on more in the future, because this is great. And we're going to be running around here at reInvent for the rest of the week. If you're here, come by booth 244. That's where you'll find us. We're actually about to head down there now. And but here all week as well. And we'll be back live with more of these updates of what is happening.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing, where's my sound? Afternoon.
Yeah.